Can I ask about what you said on the telly?
Yes.
Did you mean it?
Every word.
You really think that blowing up Parliament's going to make this country a better place?
There's no certainty, only opportunity.
I think you can be pretty certain that if anyone does show up, Creedy will black bag every one of them.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
Hey, yo, what the hell is going on, friends? Welcome back to another very special episode 33, part 2 in Madness Pod. I'm Shawn the Butcher here with Vertebrae33. How the hell are you doing?
What's going on, Shawn? This is my episode, man. This is all about the 33, about the 3, about the V. We've got it all going on. But I'm excited. This is the first time we ever broke something up into 3 parts ever, and I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be the last.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think the follow-up to this might also be a 3-parter, actually. We'll see what happens. We'll get to that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, whatever the hell the saying is. Make sure you follow us on the socials at InMadnessPod. You can email us inmadnesspod@gmail.com. We are on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment, give us 5-star reviews. Check out the In Madness Spotify playlist. Over 5 hours of music that will educate you and make you a better person. Go to inmadness.com if you want your t-shirt. We also have options now for double XL t-shirts, I believe.
2X and 3X in the black tentacle shirt. So and you can watch us on YouTube as well. So if you want to see our villainous visages, then you can show up there. And Shawn will look violently vicious, and he will be a voracious violation of volition as well.
So. I like that. That sounds pretty gnarly. We also have something very special coming up this coming Saturday. If you are listening to this episode the day it is released, this coming Saturday, we have our show coming up August 31st, Massapequa VFW, with a bunch of our friends. Lost Becomes, Resistor, Trip Villain, Wreath of Tongues, Silenus. I will be there. Vertebrae will be there. All of our friends from the show, Chef Brian from our menu episode. It's going to be a damn good time, a damn good show. So if you're anywhere on the East Coast and can make it out to this show, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to diving further into this spectacle of an episode. I read this comic book years ago. I think it was after the movie came out. And you said, this came out during like the Bush administration. So like everything felt like it weaved its way into society for back then. But you also mentioned that this is based in 2020, which sort of then weaves its way into like society today. So I feel like this movie was ahead of its time and before its time, and just the perfect blend of everything, even though the guy who created it wants nothing to do with the actual movie itself.
Yeah, and the sad part is that this movie will be poignant to people a decade from now, and 2 decades from now, and 3 decades from now, because we will cycle through this kind of stuff over and over again. And it's a movie of hope in a lot of ways, right? It's supposed to be a movie of hope.
I feel full of hope when at that ending, it brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of questions about that ending.
the tear in my eye will go right back up into my eyeball and rewind.
That's the tear in my eye is having, and we said it in the last episode, but having seen this movie, 20 times. I think I owned it on DVD, then owned it again on Blu-ray. I would watch it when it's on TV. I put my in madness, thinking brain in, and I'm analyzing it a different way. And now I get questions that I kind of never really thought, like logistical questions that I never really thought.
I can't wait.
But it's a lot of fun, and we appreciate you guys taking the ride. This is part 2. If you missed part 1, where were you? Come on. This is 33. Let's go.
In case you missed part 1, we'll do a quick recap. We got our hero V. He's badly burned. He runs around London wearing a cape, top hat, Guy Fawkes mask. He's got beef with the government. He does not agree with the current regime. ruled by High Chancellor Sutler. V has blown up a government building and is now a fugitive. He hijacked a TV broadcast, told the public 1 year from that day, on the 5th of November, he is going to blow up Parliament. He asked the citizens of London to join him. During his journey, V runs into Evie. Her parents were political activists and her little brother died at St. Mary's. Evie first met V when he rescued her from being hassled by fingermen. Evie also happens to work at the TV station that V hijacked. And right as he's about to get arrested to return the favor, Evie maces the cop, but gets knocked out in a scuffle. So now V has rescued her from being captured and tortured by the fingermen, and now has her locked up at his place, which he calls the Shadow Gallery, full of these old government artifacts that are 100% illegal for him to have. Evie cannot leave until V finishes his plan in 1 year on the 5th of November.
And we get tons of, Nazi overtones in this. So there's certainly that with the artwork, and there was, tons of book burning that took place as well. So, but Shawn, I don't have a cool name like the Shadow Gallery for my office.
I mean, you can just steal it. Just steal
the name. I want my own. I want my own. If you guys want to figure out what I should call my office, where there's a whole bunch of toys and books.
The Vertebrae Arsenal.
Right. That I all legally acquired, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Every single one of these.
Vertebrae get black bagged.
Yeah. Sadly, I purchased every single one of these. Give me the name. Let's call it something. I don't know. But here we go. Part 2.
Email us suggestions in madnesspod@gmail.com. Our next 0.5 episode is going to be a fun one. We're going to answer a question that was asked in the previous 0.5. We'll get to that later. We get the Prothero, the evil talk show host who helps spread Sutler's lies. He's standing in his expensive bathroom in a towel watching his own show, quoting himself as he's talking. He opens up a medicine cabinet. He's got every pill ever released on God's green earth. He pops a couple. He's drinking a glass of scotch. Prothero heads into the shower, and like Norman Bates, V arrives. He swipes his card to get in. He swipes Evie's card to get in. Prothero is watching his show. He's mimicking himself, talking to the television. He repeats his catchphrase to himself, "England prevails." He turns off the TV, and in the reflection behind him, like the alien in Signs, we see the reflection of V. All of a sudden, Prothero's tough guy talk ends, and he becomes scared shitless.
And if, they do this a lot in movies, we want to make sure you really hate this guy before we kill him. So, we find out that he's like takes showers and watches himself on video while he takes showers. Just creepy, just weird, man. What are you doing? Like, Shawn, are you listening to this podcast in the shower?
No, because I can't make proper edits if something comes up and I'm like, oh, I have to go back and listen to that. No, I don't listen to us in the shower. I usually listen to death metal or hip hop.
Yeah. I mean, also like watching like the video's on and your mouthing is going along with it. Like
he loves himself. However, I do love his bathroom setup. I think it's badass and I want an exact replica of it.
Oh, I love the bathroom setup, but like you gotta put Return of the Jedi on or something when you're taking a shower. You know what I mean?
That's 1. 2 to go.
1 Star Wars reference. There you go.
V keeps calling him Commander Prothero. He says, "Stop. Why do you keep calling me that?" V says, "That was your title. Remember when we first met years ago? You wore a uniform in those days." We see a flashback of Prothero in a suit shocking a man with a taser in what looks to be a psychiatric prison. Prothero says, "You." We see a picture of a man walking out of flames. Prothero says, "It is you." V says, "The ghost of Christmas past." Detective Finch gets woke up from a phone call from his partner. They arrive on the scene, and Prothero is dead. He's got a rose on his corpse. Sutler's cronies are already there, telling Detective Finch this needs to be kept discreet. He says the loss of the voice of London could be devastating to our credibility. They start making up reasons how he could have died naturally, maybe a stroke, or a more quiet, dignified death in his sleep. We get a shot of Prothero on the floor, dead, vomit all over the place, and a Rose laying on his corpse. Finch's partner tells them that they have an elevator login, but Finch already knows it was Evie's card.
Yeah, so we figure out that he's excellent with technology, fireworks, mask at least purchasing, maybe making, I don't know, shipping and receiving. Now he's a botanist, right? Or he's got a green thumb. He's able to grow these roses successfully. Yeah, he's a very industrious fellow. He's been planning
he's a
this for a
collector.
long time. Yes, he's been planning this for a long time. And I wonder, as some of these artifacts were disappearing, I'm sure they just suppressed that news, right? So I wonder if they kind of connected it up then. I don't think so, maybe. But he's been working for a while.
Sutler definitely doesn't know about it. They're just like, don't let Sutler find out that this statue went missing. Just here's $20. Just shut up about it.
Yeah, I mean, if they're just destroying the stuff, then
yeah, they won't even probably know it was missing.
Yeah.
Evie wakes up to the sound of V. Evie wakes up again to the sound of V having a battle in his living room. He's acting out. He's having a sword fight with the statue while he's watching a movie. He chops off the statue's head. He apologizes to Evie for waking her. Says he's watching his favorite movie, The Count of Monte Cristo. Evie says she's never seen it. She asks if it has a happy ending, and V says absolutely.
Yeah, it's a movie about a man who was unjustly imprisoned for 20 years, and then he escapes and seeks revenge against the men who conspired to put him in prison.
So literally this movie.
Yes. Yeah. 1934 it came out.
Detective Finch and his partner are talking in the office. Finch says, did you know Prothero was one of the richest men in the country before he was the voice of London? From the sale of legal drugs, he was a major stockholder in a pharmaceutical company. At the conclusion of The Count of Monte Cristo, they see the news. Prothero is dead. V changes the channel. Evie is in shock. She says, put it back. The news is saying he passed away from heart failure. Evie knows the newscaster is lying because she blinks when she does a story and knows it's false. Evie looks at V. She already knows. Yesterday, I couldn't find my ID. Did you take it? He says, would you prefer I lie or tell the truth? She says, did you have anything to do with his death? He says, yes, I killed him. She says, are you going to kill more people? He says, yes.
Yeah. And, Shawn, she's upset at the end of the movie because she says he chose revenge over love. So we get that in this film, too. It mirrors that in a big way. Revenge.
There's a lot of the Crow connection to this as well.
Absolutely. I will say, though, Shawn, I would struggle with talking to a person wearing that mask for so long. Like, it would throw me off because I'm looking at you right now as we record, and I'm looking for your expressions or your acceptance of what I'm saying to you. And it would just be, and sometimes it would work, what I was saying, like, hey, you're smiling. And sometimes it'd be like, what are you smiling at? I just told you like the most horrific news. Like, it would be difficult over such a long period of time to speak to somebody with that mask that doesn't move at all.
Just sitting there watching Gremlins, listening to the girl's dad in the chimney story, sitting there with your mask on, smiling. It's like, why are you smiling at this moment? This is terrible.
Yeah, and then you're eating eggs all the time, but he's not eating because he's got the mask on. So I don't know if it's just like a straw.
Drinks his eggs through a straw, yeah.
Yeah, or something to not take it off or what. But yep.
Detective Finch and his partner looking at Prothero's military record. They put him in charge of the detention facility in Lark Hill. Finch's partner asks if he thinks there's a connection between V and Prothero. Finch says it might explain the connection between him and Evie, but he can't find any record of it. Finch and his partner are questioning a man who seems to be in charge of a bunch of documentation. They want to know the type of people being shipped to the Lark Hill facility. The man in charge is acting stupid, like he has no idea. They're trying to get info out of him, but he refuses to give them any. He tells Finch to go through the records. Finch says your records are either deleted, omitted, or missing. They're trying to cover up whatever happened at Lark Hill.
Yeah, hiding all the records.
Evie tells V her father was a writer. We would have liked him. He used to say artists use lies to tell the truth while politicians use them to cover the truth up. V says, a man after my own heart. Evie says, he always told the best stories until my brother died. Then everything changed. My brother was one of the students in St. Mary's. After he died, my parents became political. They protested the war. When Sutler was appointed High Chancellor, there was a riot. She watched it on television thinking she was going to see her parents killed. Her parents would always argue. Her mom wanted to leave, but her dad wanted to stay. Then we see a young Evie in bed who gets shocked awake by the sound of a door being kicked in. Her mom runs in, telling her to hide. From under the bed, Evie sees her mom knocked on the floor, black bagged, and dragged away.
Awful.
Evie tells V that she's not like her parents. She says she's afraid all the time. She knows the world is screwed up. She tells V she will do anything to help make it right. And he says, if you wish. We see Detective Finch and his partner at the institution saying the most reliable records are tax records. A man comes out of an office and says it appears all the original electronic records have been lost. Go figure. But he did find some paperwork in a vault. He hands it to the Detective Finch. He says everything about Lark Hill is in this folder.
I love the mix of this detective work and this research. We're getting some book research, Shawn. You know how much I love that in a film because it really captivates the audience when guys are leafing through books and files. But I love it, and it balances, like I said, the other aspects of this movie, and we're starting to learn more about Evie and her past. And, this is a big difference from the comic. Evie in the book, she's like a 16-year-old prostitute who propositions the Fingerman and then he shows up. In this, she's like a strong-willed 20-something-year-old person who wants to make more of her life and has this horrific past, which I guess maybe there'd be a lot of people right now in that that part that would have that horrific past, because it seemed like they were rounding anybody up that just didn't agree with them. So that's a big difference from the comic, but they certainly have to flesh out that character and sort of work into this budding romance that we have here. And yeah, this is it's a lot of exposition though with a dude in a mask. He does a lot of that, but we at least get these detective-y bits, which I love so much.
I know you love detective-y bits. It's very much like Seven, Mills and Somerset, Finch and his partner.
Yeah.
Evie's cleaning up V's living space when he approaches and asks if her offer to help is still standing. She says yes. He says, unforeseen circumstances have accelerated my original plan. I'm in need of someone with theatrical skills. She says she'll do her best. Detective Finch and his partner are looking over the paperwork. They see another doctor's name, asking why a detention facility needs so many damn doctors. His partner says the highest paid person at the camp was a priest, Father Lilliman. He was paid almost $200,000 a month. That's a sweet paycheck. Finch says that is interesting. It looks like he's a bishop now. And there's Father Lilliman, who was approached by a man who seems to be his assistant. He tells him she has arrived. There was a confusion at the agency. They sent a new girl who's a little older than usual. Father Lilliman is worried. Older, not too old, I trust. His assistant says that's for you to decide. It seems like the bishop has ordered himself a lady.
Yeah, well, girl. And for sure, this is, we're going to make sure you really hate this guy when he gets off. There's just no doubt. But this is where this film attacks, we're looking at fascism. We're looking at anarchism.
Religion.
And now we're attacking religion. This film is, made when it came out, even in 2005, it made people very, very uncomfortable. And it's a shame, I think, Alan Moore didn't see it and he only read the script, because I do think that at least those pieces, even though it's changed the structure of the story and a lot of it, although loosely based, I think, he would appreciate them, hammering down and attacking all these other aspects of society. So Maybe someday he'll. I doubt he'll watch it. There's no way he'll watch it. If you know Alan Moore, tell him to come on the
Yeah,
podcast and
tell him
yell
to
at
just
me and
listen to the
Shawn.
podcast. He could listen to us talk about that.
Yeah, I would love him to come on and just yell at the both of us. That would be fantastic. I would
For
ask him
30
a lot
minutes.
of.
Yeah, I'll just sit here and bite down. Yeah.
He ask him a lot of geeky Watchmen and Swamp Thing questions, and just have him hang up on us. That would be perfect. But yeah, this is one of the most uncomfortable scenes in the film.
Bishop walks into a room and there's Evie dressed in this little pink skirt like a schoolgirl get up. The bishop is impressed. He says, "To think I doubted your loveliness for an instant." The bishop begins looking very devilish. We see V hop on top of the roof. The bishop goes for Evie's skirt. She says, "Your Grace, we don't have much time. I have to tell you something." He says, "Tell me your sins." She says, "This is no game. Someone's coming to kill you." He's shocked. She says, "I'm telling you this because I want some kind of protection. I had nothing to do with the explosion. This should balance it out." Bishop's confused. She says, "I'm Evie. I've been the prisoner of the terrorist V for several weeks. I'm telling you, at any moment, he's going to come through that door." I unlocked the window in the room when I was told to get ready. Bishop laughs. He says, "Wonderful." He says, "This is a game I've never played." She begs him to believe her. He forces himself on her. She kicks him in the balls. He calls her a whore, and through the door crashes V. Bishop says, "Oh my God, she wasn't lying." V angrily looks at Evie. I mean, you can't tell because he's got the mask on, but you can tell he shoots her a look. She apologizes to him. She says she had to. The bishop goes for a gun. He shoots at V, who grabs his arm and twists it. V says, "And thus I clothe my naked villainy with old odd ends stolen forth from holy writ, and seem a saint when most I play the devil." Bishop says, "Please have mercy." And V says, "Not tonight, Bishop. Not tonight."
Yeah, no mercy for you, man. And you know, at least here, Shawn, we get Evie questioning sort of her. So she's not completely just going along with him. She's also kind of, okay, I gotta get out of this situation. A year is a long time. It's a nice place. There's a lot of books. I don't know, Shawn. What are you doing? Are you trying to? She got no family.
I
Are
mean,
you
does he got any
trying to get
arcade
out of there?
games there? I mean, what's the sweets and salt situation like in the cabinet?
I mean, I
What?
think he probably easily can get all the forbidden snacks, right?
Yeah,
If they,
like I mean, I need snacks. I mean, he's got a TV, snacks. Uh, I'm sure you can get some good London Sutler weed. I mean,
a year could go by quick, man.
yeah, comfy bed. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, with no connections or ties to the world, what's the Wi-Fi like in that shadow
Yeah.
gallery? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
think.
what do you need? Why do you need Wi-Fi?
I mean, I'm always bored on my phone, no matter what.
Yeah, but you can't go tweet and stuff because people don't know where
Well,
you
no, I
are.
just want to. I never. Yeah, I don't even need to tweet. I just need to look at other people's
Oh,
Twitter to see how other people are ruining Alien Romulus for me. I don't need to tweet anything. I just need to see other people tweeting things.
yeah, that would be. If it was like, oh, what'd you get today, V, when you were out, capturing goods? Oh, I got like a case of Pop Tarts. Fantastic. That'll carry us. So what do we got?
You'd stay in the shadow gallery. You'd never leave. V would be like, it's been 3 years. Get the fuck out of my place. And you're like,
Yeah.
why? I love it
It's
here.
it's well past November 5th. What's wrong with you?
I'm gonna start charging you rent soon, you asshole.
I'd first start with organizing all those books that were in that room that were just aimlessly piled up. Those would get organized right away.
I could just see him walking in like, "Oh God, I had that in a special order, and you ruined it."
Yeah. Also, I don't know. I don't know if I could watch the Count of Monte Cristo over and over again. I think we'd have
Oh,
to
is
pick
that
some
like
other
the
films.
only movie he owns, though? Could you? Yeah, if he just has one, be like, dude, you ordered 5 million masks on Amazon. You can't get The Thing or The Shining up in this bitch.
Yeah. Come on, for sure. We've got to sit around and watch Rogue One, and we've got to be happy with that. That's 2 Star Wars references in one episode. That was a cheap one though, but yeah, maybe he could get other masks. In the comic, he wore a different mask a couple times.
So
Then
I think later on he wears another mask, unless I'm wrong. I'll get into it later when we
he
get.
does.
Yeah,
He
okay.
does.
So, okay, good.
Yeah.
In a surveillance van, men are listening to the bishop. He screams, "I don't want to die." The men know they have a problem on their hands. We cut the bishop's dead body, vomit on the floor with a rose laying on his corpse. Finch says he wants every name in the Larkhill file tracked down immediately. And in walks Sutler's right-hand goon, Creedy. He tells them several prominent party members have been murdered. This is no ordinary situation. It requires more than your ordinary attention. Sutler demanded my immediate involvement. Finch says it's hard to investigate when you're detaining all my witnesses. Creedy says the security of information is paramount. Creedy says the terrorist seems to have intimate understanding of our systems, and Sutler seems to think there is someone on the inside as an informant. Finch says, "Are you telling me I'm under surveillance?" Creedy says, cease any investigation of matters that have long since passed. He's talking about Larkhill. Creedy says, "Concentrate on the concerns of our present." Creedy says, "If I were you, I would find the terrorist and find him soon."
Yeah, and if they had that audio surveillance now, Sean, on us, it would just be it's just geeky conversation. Hey, look at this thing toy I
Well, they
got. Check
do.
it out.
They do.
Yeah.
I think the fact that we're on the internet talking immediately puts us right into their system. Yes.
Yeah, but they're not driving around with the trucks. So maybe they are
No.
driving around with the trucks,
Well,
but
they don't even need trucks. It's going
yeah.
right to some guy who's working
So
remote, probably watching Family Guy in his underwear.
so I think I've told you this before, but knowing that the phone listens to everything you say and we could talk about going to Home Depot and then suddenly you get Home Depot ads, I on a regular basis will speak directly into my phone and I will say dinner with George Lucas. Hoping that some opportunity will come up where I could have dinner with George, even if he likes to go to food
It
courts.
doesn't work like that. It'll just show you pictures of George Lucas eating fried chicken and shit.
Yeah, that's the problem. But I mean, I would, that would be great. We'll get like matching Nike Air Monarchs and jeans and plaid shirts and hang out at the food court at the mall. That sounds. I'm putting it all out there into the
Like if
universe.
you're
So
like,
it can
"George,
come
do you
back.
have a shadow gallery? Can I crash there with you by any chance?" He'd be like,
Oh
"Yeah, but
God, he
you can only stay for an hour and you'll be there for a year." I'd be like, "Damn it."
get out. He does actually. They're building he's building a museum in California with like narrative art museum. It's supposed to be this incredible museum that's going to take place. So that'll be some mammoth shadow gallery right there. But
Are you going to go?
no.
I love how quickly you answered.
No, just kidding. But maybe I will. But I
Evie
digress.
Evie shows up at Dietrich's house, the David Letterman funny talk show host that she works with. She says she had no place else to go. She says the cops are looking for her. She tells Dietrich just by helping her, he could be in trouble. Dietrich's a good dude. He says if the government ever searched my house, you would be the least of my problems, which is also kind of what V said to her. He says he trusts her. He takes her down to his wine cellar and opens up a secret door to all of his own artifacts that are also illegal, just like V's shadow gallery. Some pictures on the wall catch Evie's eyes. They're like dominatrix pictures. He says, "Ah, yes, when I invited you over originally, you may have questioned my intentions. A man of my position is supposed to entertain young ladies. However, if I entertained who I truly wanted to, I would find myself without a home or a television show." Evie says she's sorry, and Dietrich says, "Not as sorry as I am."
And Sean, what he also has a room of hidden artifacts. So we get another room of this, but his didn't have a fancy name. Right? He didn't call it anything.
No, he didn't have a name. He didn't call it anything, but I'm sure he does have a name for it. He
There's
seems like
got
a
to be a
creative
name,
enough dude.
right? There's got to be a name for that place. This is our second one. Does everybody in this movie just have cool rooms with artifacts in them? Like it's crazy. And this is Gordon's big reveal. And in the beginning, you certainly think he's the boss that has to entertain, because she talks about wanting to get ahead. And there's actually, Sean, a novelization of the movie version of this, and I listened to quite a bit of it. It's interesting. It gives a little more backstory and a few things, but it's just interesting that it's based on a comic. Then we have a movie. Then there's a novelization of the movie, not of the comic.
That
which is
must have
really
pissed that dude off even more.
yeah, yeah. Alan Moore is probably real angry about that too. But they've never done the motion comic for this, which I think would be really cool, like they did for Watchmen.
Oh,
I
I
think for V for
love
Vendetta.
that. I
Yeah,
love that.
I think if they did it for this, that would be really neat.
We gotta do the Watchmen. We gotta do the Watchmen. Another 3-parter eventually.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. I have a couple books on the Watchmen actually. So
We might just make every episode 3 after this to make things a little easier on your boys Vertebrae33 and Shawn the Butcher. We'll see.
yeah, we go behind the scenes and say that it's quite a. As we lead up to recording, there's a lot of text, mostly from me to Shawn, being like, "Holy crap, I got to get to this movie. How do I get to this movie? I'm trying to get to this movie.
How'd you
I
get it?
need to
You
watch
rented it
it."
from the library? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but yeah, maybe let us know if you like this format and kind of more digestible bits. We can do it this way.
Detective Finch is at the morgue with the bishop's body. The mortician, Miss Delia, tells him the poisons in their body could have come from anywhere. Finch says there's something else, hoping you can help me with. He hands her a rose. She stands there in shock. He says, didn't you start as a botanist? She says, it's a scarlet carson. They're believed to be extinct. Finch tells her the terrorist leaves them at the crime scene. I'd appreciate if you could have a look at it. You could see the look of her horror on her face. Finch takes a phone call as Miss Delia is just standing there staring at the rose, frozen behind him in horror.
And this is where we at one point you're going to realize why this is all weaving together, but at this point you're like, oh, come on, this is a lot of weird coincidences that are taking place. But it's the path that the detectives are being sent on to, they're following breadcrumbs that are getting them to certain points at the exact time that they're needed to be.
Back at the station, Finch and his partner have found out that V has killed everyone found in the files of Lark Hill Detention Center. He has killed all but one. They don't know who the one person is. They were one of the people in charge at Lark Hill. They disappeared and changed their name after it was shut down. They find out the missing person from Lark Hill is actually Miss Delia, the coroner. She wakes up in bed. Dun, dun, dun. Miss Delia wakes up in bed, and the corner in the shadows, like Michael Myers, is V, with the light occasionally illuminating the Guy Fawkes mask and then hiding him back in the shadows. Miss Delia says, it's you, isn't it? You've come to kill me. V says, yes. She says, thank God. V and Miss Delia are having a conversation about how she's been thinking about killing herself, but she knew he would come for her one day. She tells V she did not know what they were going to do with him. He says what was done to him was only made possible because of her. She tells him Oppenheimer was able to change more than the course of the world. He changed the entire course of human history. Is it wrong to hold that kind of hope? V says, I have not come for what you hope to do. I have come for what you did. She says, I was given one of your roses today. I wasn't sure you were the terrorist until I saw it. What a strange coincidence. V tells her there are no coincidences, only the illusion of coincidence. He hands her a rose. She says, are you going to kill me now? He says, I killed you 10 minutes ago. Shows her a needle. While you slept, she asks if there'll be pain. He says, no. She says, thank you. She asks if it's meaningless to apologize. He says, never. She says, I'm so sorry, and dies.
This is where I would, I'm going to have her for the next few minutes. So I'd be like, hey, check out these pictures of my shadow gallery.
While you're fading away in the darkness, check out this illegal piece of art.
Because like she can't tell anybody and nobody's going to find it. She'll be like, look at this one. Can you believe this book? I always wanted this when I was younger. And now I have it. Look at this thing Mondo figure I have over here.
Not even that. I'm sure after she passes away, he goes sneaking through her shit and he's like, oh, she's got one of these. I'm taking this back to the gallery.
For sure. But I don't know how he's getting around with all this stuff.
Maybe he's got a sack, a satchel, a V satchel.
I guess, but he's busy. Some of that stuff is big. They're like statues and stuff in there. Like
he seems to have everything figured out, no matter what it is.
All by himself. He doesn't even have an Alfred.
Yeah.
At least give an Alfred. Yeah.
Finch and his partner get to the house, but they're too late. She's dead. Detective Finch is getting chewed out by Chancellor Sutler. Finch has Miss Delia's notebook. Sutler asks if he read it. He says yes. Sutler asks, has anyone else read it? Finch says no. Sutler says, let me make this perfectly clear to you. The contents of this document are a matter of national security, constituting an assault on the character of several important party members, as well as a blatant violation of the Articles of Allegiance. As the authenticity of this document cannot be verified, it could be an elaborate forgery created by the terrorist. As easily it could have be the deranged fantasy of a former party member who resigned for psychological reasons. Any discussion of this document or its contents will be regarded in the very least as an act of sedition, if not a willful act of treason. Is that understood? You would do well, Inspector, to put it out of your mind.
Yeah, don't read, but he doesn't take it away from him.
Nope. He's got it right there. Finch is sitting there holding it. It's his property.
Yeah, he's basically like, hey, I got this book, but you're not allowed to read it.
Yeah,
like,
don't you open it.
Yeah, everybody's going to read that book. Like, that's, yeah.
We hear a voice say May 23rd. My first batch of subjects arrived today. I have to admit, I'm very excited. We see Lark Hill Detention Facility. We see Miss Delia. She's saying this could be the dawn of a new age. Nuclear power is meaningless in a world where a virus can kill an entire population and leave its wealth intact. May 27th, we see Prothero and the bishop touring the lab. June 2nd, she's wondering if these people knew how they might be helping their country if they would act differently. She says they're weak and pathetic. They never look you in the eye. We see a bunch of people lined up getting shots. They're sort of covered in all these sores, mold, mildew. Miss Delia says she finds herself hating them. August 18th, we see a bunch of bodies being tossed into a mass grave. She says of the original 4 dozen, 75% are now deceased. No controllable pattern has yet emerged. September 18th, there is one case that continues to give me hope. He exhibits none of the immune system pathologies the other subjects developed. I've discovered cellular anomalies in his blood that I've been unable to categorize. The mutations seem to have triggered the abnormal development of basic kinesthesia and reflexes. I don't know if that's the right word. The subject said he could no longer remember who he was or where he was from. Whoever he was, he is now the key to our dream and the hope that all of this will not be in vain. As she's saying this, the camera is scrolling from door to door. Each door has an X on it for a person who died, except door number 5, Roman numeral V. November 5th, we see a huge explosion, flames everywhere. Miss Delia says it started last night around midnight. The first explosion tore open the entire medical section. All my work gone. I was trying to understand how this could have happened when I saw him, and out walks a man covered in shadow, standing in the flames. She says the man from room number 5. He looked at me, not with eyes. There were no eyes. We see the man walk out horribly burned. He's glowing. She says he did not have eyes, but I knew he was looking at me because I felt it. Standing in the flames, the man lets out a long scream. Our hero, V. So what the hell are they doing to him? Are they trying to make a superhuman?
Yeah, so that's what I think is happening, because they're certainly kind of, she sounds confused or like resistant to a virus and stuff, and we'll find out more about the virus later on. But I think that's what they're doing. They're just testing on people and genetically modifying them and attempting to create weapons out of them. And probably just, if I could go for reference 4, we're going to, they need stormtroopers, or, they need clones if this is the Clone Wars. So they're looking to modify. That's what I got from it. I could be totally wrong, but I got it as that they were testing, because what else would why would they want to make them so strong and so whatever, unless they wanted them, they probably want them to be complacent, follow all their rules. And
they want him to be a Terminator.
Basically, yeah. So they're just going to haul everyone in that doesn't agree with them and test on them right away and try to create people that they keep more people in line. Who the heck knows? Maybe there's certainly this whole drug undertone to it as well, that, there's drug companies and everything involved. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty poignant too, coming out of the pandemic.
Incredibly, scarily. Evie wakes up at Dietrich's, and wouldn't you know it, he's cooking the toast with the little egg in the middle. He says it's called an eggie in a basket.
Yeah. Does everybody make her this egg toast thing going on? Look at her. And she's waking up again, and somebody's cooking her like breakfast. Twice in the movie, she just wakes up and there's breakfast is ready.
Evie says this is strange. When she was with V, he made the same meal for her. He says that's a strange coincidence. He says there is an explanation. Dietrich says, I am V. She says that's not funny. He says I'm useless without a studio audience. She says she's seen people go to jail for less. Dietrich says V was right, though. There is something terribly wrong with this country.
I think they were trying to trick us a little there.
I was tricked in the whole lead up. I was like, he's V. It's him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Except his hands were fine.
Yes, I didn't know how to get around the hands. Maybe they were fake hands. Maybe he was
Right.
trying to throw her off with fake hands.
Right.
Detective Finch is looking at old newspaper archives, articles saying terrorist strike with biological weapons. St. Mary's virus kills 178. 3 waters infected. Drinking water contaminated by unknown virus. Viral infection epidemic. His partner walks in. Finch says, I want to ask you a question. I don't care if you answer me or not. I just want to say this out loud. I need to know this question will not leave this office. Question I want to ask is about St. Mary's and 3 waters. The question that's kept me up for the last 24 hours. The question I have to ask, what if the worst, the most horrifying biological attack in this country's history was not the work of religious extremists? Partner does not understand. They were caught, convicted, and executed. And Finch says, maybe that's what happened. But I see this chain of events, these coincidences, and I have to ask, what if that isn't what happened? What if someone unleashed the virus? What if someone else killed all those people? Would you really want to know who it was? His partner says, yeah. He says, even if it was someone working for the government. Finch says, that's my question. If our own government was responsible for what happened in St. Mary's and 3 waters, if our own government was responsible for the deaths of almost 100,000 people, would you really want to know?
So 2 things. First, I want to know if you'd want to know, but also they have this little device that they turn on so that they can't hear them.
It's like a USB, like a little flippy USB thing.
Yeah. Which is, I wonder how many people have those devices. Can you buy them on the black market? Does V have one of those devices? He must. I would think he does, but although he's pretty far underground, but I think he does. And would you want to know, Shawn?
I mean, come on. No. If I was following them on Twitter, I would block them so I don't have to see any of the news updates, kind of like I do with all the news now. Like I can't stand the fear mongering and this and that. And like I know people just sit and watch the news all day. And like, I see the news when I'm at the gym and it's always like death, fear, death, fear. You're going to die. You live in fear. And I'm just like, this is not like, that's why I never watch the news. And like, even when I'm on Twitter, I see the news and I'm like, no, I don't want to see this. I don't want to know about this. Like, no, I live in my own bubble. And I want to live in my own bubble. I just want to go to concerts and eat good food and hang out with my friends. I don't want to know if the government killed 100,000 people.
Yeah, I'm torn on that one because certainly, I don't know, I'd want information. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do about it.
And that's the thing. What are you going to do about it? Nothing.
We find out what you're going to do about it at the end, right?
Well, that's the thing. That's what V does about it. Like and the average person most likely would just sit there with all of this horrible.
You're saying I can't be V? Is that what you're saying, Shawn? I can't lead a revolution?
Everybody wants to be V.
Yes.
But in reality, everyone's kind of just in their own little, I don't know. So that's the thing. So like, everybody's an activist, and rightfully so. There's a lot of crazy shit going on. And I respect those people for their efforts, but it's like voting, I don't feel like my vote matters. And I don't feel like me doing anything. I don't think we can win against the government. I think, yes, the government should fear their people, and people, people shouldn't have to fear the government. I think, but that's the way it is, though. You're gonna be here and you're just gonna live in your little bubble and you're gonna do your thing. But some people do take the upper hand and do things, and they want to be V, and I respect their efforts for it. But me personally, no, I'm fine in my own little bubble, in my own little world.
But would you follow V? Okay, fine. You may not have that in you to be that person. But if you see the tide turning and there actually is an opportunity to make some huge change, would you
Would
be
I
one
be
of
on the
those
front
people?
lines? No, I'd be at the back lines reaping the benefits at the end, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I'm
kind of
not
figured that
like
part.
the warrior leading the march. There's no fucking way. If good things happen, then sure, I'll be like, you guys, thank you guys for making these good things happen. But will I be at the front line taking care of it if the government infected 3 waters and the government killed 100,000 people? I mean, like, what am I going to do? They're just going to kill me.
Right. But if you were directly affected by it, you would feel 100% differently. If you're
Yeah.
Evie and your family's been directly affected by it, you're going to feel 100% different. So we're operating on the premise that you're just living your life and going along. But if you're, you know what I mean? If they came for your family in that way, I think you probably feel different about it. And especially if you felt like you had nothing to lose.
Yes.
Like it's,
If I was Evie, things would be different. But if I was just me, just jag off doing what I do on a daily basis, no, it's completely different.
maybe you could work for that one station that they have.
Yeah,
You
the
could like,
KBT or whatever, and I'll
yeah.
spin all of Sutler's lies. Yeah, no, see, and that's the other thing. I don't want to be. I wouldn't want to be a puppet of the system either. Like on my show now, I could say whatever the hell I want. I don't have to. I don't have to spin anybody's lies, except the bullshit that I spew out of my own mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, it's certainly complex because it's dealing with how people deal with oppression. It's this movie brings all of that into discussion. How because there's always going to be people that are injured or killed in the beginning of a revolution. That's just the way it goes. So who's going to be out front of that, right? Where do you land in that situation? I think it certainly depends on where you're at in life. We make lots of jokes on here about where we're at in life, and Shawn and I would be, he'd be having to drag me out of the house come on, we're meeting for the revolution. I don't know, I'm going to be there in a little bit, but I'm not pushed against the wall, right? My back's not against the wall. I'm not defending my family in that way, so maybe I would feel differently. I certainly would like to get my hands on some of those artifacts and those stacks of books. But these are the questions that this movie based on a comic brings up, and you think about when you're watching it. And I'm happy to be taking this ride with you. This is fun.
Dietrich and Evie pop open a bottle of champagne. She says, "What's this all about?" He says, "I'm celebrating." She says, "Celebrating what?" He says, "This is the best show we've ever done." He turns on his talk show. He has a look alike of Chancellor Sutler. So now immediately this dude is in trouble. Evie looks scared as hell. There's also men with fake guns pointing at the audience to applause. Everyone seems to be watching along at TV at home, laughing. In the skit, they're making fun of Chancellor Sutler. At home, you see Chancellor Sutler watching along, I'm surprised I'm saying this, drinking a delicious looking glass of milk. I do not like drinking milk, but the one he's holding looks like it's very cold and refreshing. And he's sitting there and you don't see him. It's kind of like, what's the bad guy in Inspector Gadget? Claw.
Yeah, with the
You just
cat.
see his arm holding the glass of milk. It's pretty gnarly. On the show, there's a character dressed up as V who's playing tricks on Chancellor Sutler, exploding cigars, tying his shoelaces together and whatnot. Everyone at home is laughing as along, but not Chancellor Sutler, who with his bare hand breaks open this delicious looking glass of ice cold milk. Dietrich is on the phone with his agent who's telling him how much trouble he is now going to be in. Dietrich tells him he's a top rated show that they have. Figure it out. Protect me. Evie says, "What if they come for you?" Dietrich says, "I'll let you know what's going to happen. I'm going to make some kind of apology, do a boring fundraiser. Our ratings will go through the roof. It'll be fine. Trust me." And once you know it, later that night, scuffle ensues. Just like Evie's flashback with her mom, Dietrich runs into the room, tells Evie to hide. She goes under the bed. The door gets knocked down. Dietrich gets slapped on the floor. Creedy walks in and says, "Not so funny now, is it, funny man?" Strikes him in the face with a club. Bleeding, facing Evie, he gets black bagged, dragged away. Evie escapes out the window, but right as she's about to get away, she gets grabbed and black bagged.
And everybody's got room under their beds to hide.
Not
I got
me.
all kinds of stuff under my bed. There wouldn't be any hiding under that bed. I don't even think it's high enough to get underneath it. Get underneath of
My
it.
cat stays under the bed and spews cat loogies. So if I went to hide under the bed, I'd just be sitting there in cat loogie, and then the fingermen would walk in, and I'd just be under the bed going, and they would
Yeah, and
catch me
then
that
your
way.
cat would totally rat you out, by the
Oh,
way.
100%. He'd go
Yeah.
right out to the fingerman and start meowing for food.
Yeah, yeah. Can you help me? He's under the bed.
Yeah,
He's right
meow.
there.
Yeah, just doing
Please, please.
pointing with
Yeah,
his
the head
tail.
nod.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right there. Thank you. But yeah, so we're getting her mirroring what happened to her when she was younger and with her parents, with her second friend that she makes in this movie. So something's happening to him now. So, and gets hauled away just like they did. So don't hang
Now,
out with Evie, man. There's lots of bad stuff happening.
trouble. Now she's being interrogated, telling her she's been charged with 3 counts of murder, bombing, government property, conspiracy to commit terrorism, treason, sedition, penalty by firing squad. You have one chance and only one chance to save your life. Tell us the identity or whereabouts of V. If your information leads to capture, you will be released from this facility immediately. You can return to your life. All you have to do is cooperate. She does not answer. Cut to her getting her head shaved, thrown into a cell. They feed her gruel. A rat comes out and eats it, but he takes one bite and runs off into his little hole. We see her being fed and moving around the cell day after day after day until one day she crawls over to the rat hole, looks inside of it, and finds a note.
And this is when her head's shaved, and she's got the prison uniform on. You can certainly see where they got the look for 11 in Stranger Things. For sure. I feel like that's a direct response to this. And it's bold, right? Natalie Portman shaves her head. I think she looks like really, really good
I
with the
thought it was
shaved
a
head.
tribute to Ellen Ripley from Alien 3.
It could be. Maybe it's both. I mean, they're borrowing everything from everywhere, but I think Natalie Portman looks fantastic with the shaved head in this. And
I think Natalie Portman looks fantastic. Shaved head, no head, anything. She is great.
And this is where we get a different the movie turns. So we get a different bit here and a different vibe. This movie has a lot of different vibes to it. We have the detective stuff. We've got this revolution. We've got this very romantic character in V in a lot of ways. And now we've got this prison stuff going on, which is pretty crazy.
The note says, there's no way I can convince you this is not one of their tricks. I don't care. My name is Valerie. I don't think I'll live much longer. I want to tell someone about my life. Now we get the backstory on Valerie. She met her first girlfriend in school. Her name was Sarah. Later on, she fell in love with a girl named Christina. She came out to her parents and was kicked out of her house. Her dad takes her baby picture and throws it in the garbage. We see Evie being tortured, drowned, asked for the location of V. She says she doesn't know. She's dragged back into her cell. She returns to the note in the rat hole. Valerie used to be an actress where she met the love of her life, Ruth. They moved to London. She grew scarlet Carsons, the same rose V would give away to his victims. She says these were the best years of her life. Then we see her and her lover concerned inside of their house. Once Chancellor Sutler took over, things became different and dangerous. She doesn't understand why she is so hated. Her partner, Ruth, gets picked up and taken away while out buying groceries. It wasn't long until they came for me. We see Valerie sitting in her living room and men burst in the room pointing guns in her face. We see Valerie going through the same process as Evie, getting her head shaved, thrown into prison. She says it seems strange my life should end in such a terrible place. For 3 years I had roses and apologized to no one. We see Valerie dragged and thrown into a cell just like Evie. The note says, I shall die here. Whoever you are, I hope you escape this place. I hope things get better. I hope most of all that you understand what I mean when I tell you that even though I do not know you and I've never met you, I love you with all my heart. I love you, Valerie. Evie cries and kisses the note.
Yeah, this is riveting stuff. This is where the movie takes, yet another turn, and we get this story inside a story, and we're working up to something here.
Evie is being interrogated for the last time. Unless you're ready to offer your cooperation, you are being executed. Do you understand what I'm telling you? She says yes. The man says, are you ready to cooperate? She says no. He says, very well, and walks away. He says, take her out behind the shed and shoot her. Another man says, just give him a bit of information. She says, I would rather die behind the chemical shed. He says, then you have no fear. You are completely free. He walks away, leaves the door open. Evie is dumbfounded. She looks outside of the room. And that, my friends, I feel like is the perfect spot for us to stop so we can continue episode 33, part 3 of V for Vendetta. Next week, our final thrilling conclusion to this movie for a very special episode 33 for my man Vertebrae33. How do you feel so far?
Wow. Yay. Part 2's done. We're on to part 3. And I appreciate everyone listening to us. We're about to get a really big reveal in this film. If you've never seen the movie before and you're listening along, that's pretty cool. If you've never seen it, go ahead and watch it. And yeah, this special 33 episode here going on with V for Vendetta. So
this
fantastic.
was Vertebrae's choice. Make sure you let us know what you think about this comic book, about the graphic novel, about the movie on the socials at In Madness Pod. You can email us inmadnesspod@gmail.com. Follow us on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, hit us with the 5 stars. Follow the In Madness Spotify playlist. Spread the madness. Tell everybody you know about this podcast, whether you're listening on Apple or Spotify or watching along with us on YouTube. However you listen, thank you for joining and for spreading the word. You could pick up your In Madness shirts of assorted sizes now, inmadness.com. Thank you very much for listening. We will see you next week for the final thrilling conclusion, part 3, episode 33, V for Vendetta, In Madness Pod.